All right, let's get started. This is the Salt Mine, Episode 2, Journalism School. This is, as it is every week, a Malifaux stream. Our goal is to take a look at a battle, our game of Malifaux, and figure out what went well, what went poorly. As always, this is a stream that is really meant to be interactive with the chat. So the more I hear from you, the better. So what I'm going to do is I'm not seeing a ton right now, but there's some. I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, so for this week's game, the strats and schemes, we had a standard deployment game with recover evidence, assassinate, sabotage, vendetta, let them bleed, and take prisoner. This is our battleground today. If you look on the battleground, the couple things to notice, we've got height 1 fences here, just all over the place, as well as some height 1 terrain. We've got some big buildings and very large trees. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be people are going to be able to hide behind. The height 1 stuff will be great for the newsies, not really great for anyone else. Wait, a picture of me is on front of the slides? Oh, I know. I know how to fix that. Hold on. Is that better? All right, so now looking at the map, again, we have some fences kind of boxing in the middle here. All of this is very tall terrain. And then we've got some height 1 scatter kind of all over the place as well. Turns out those marks stay on. So looking at the crews, I was taking by vote from a weird place, I was taking Nellie into this game. It was good because that's what I voted for. I wanted to run Nellie today, so I was excited for that. I took the printing press. I took Fiona with Leadline Coach. She's the new hotness that apparently you have to take if you're playing with Guild, or I think that they hunt you down as not following the propaganda. I've got Allison Dade, which apparently I spelt wrong on the slide. I've got 2 newsies. That's my secret tech. You'll see how I like to use those in a minute. I've got a lone marshal who I brought to knock out summons, and I got the steward. My opponent took von Shtook. Real problem for me. The von Shtook is a real problem for me and one of the masters I've struggled the most against. So I was looking forward to this opportunity to try to deal with her. Had a research assistant, valedictorian, carrying emissary, and a Lovelace, and 2 undergrads. A couple things to note in this game is that by having valedictorian, carrying emissary, and Anna Lovelace, they are all 10-stone models. During the game, I thought valedictorian and Anna Lovelace were 9-stone models, which ended up making a big difference, and you'll see why. All right, so I didn't like take prisoner. With by your side, his stuff's going to be too clumped up, and honestly, I wanted to stay clumped up, so I didn't think that there'd be a chance for me to take prisoner on something. Didn't like assassinate. I'm not going to hunt down von Shtook and I don't have enough built-in triggers to reliably take him down. Let them bleed. I took that one. Again, the second point seemed easy to me with a Nellie crew. Just does a lot of different damage from a lot of different places. The first was a maybe, especially because I thought I had to do the damage to the carrion, but I thought that it would probably work out. Took Vendetta with Fiona on Valedictorian. If that fight didn't happen, I was going to be stunned. So I figured that I would try to lean into it and try to take Val down. And what never happens fast between stones, hard to wound, and armor, you're just not going to take Fiona down. And finally, sabotage. I wasn't moving up the board, not like that. So that one just wasn't going to happen. So pre-turn one, I want to talk about what schemes I thought he would take. I let them bleed assassinate just seemed like naturals to me. He's always beating me up with that crew, so I figured that would be a real easy go-to. I figured he'd go into Nellie and go in hard. I do agree. Sabotage on standard, you just have so far to go, and the train doesn't, like, the train being next to the spots you need can be a real tricky thing. So I just wasn't going to count on that. I decided I'd leave the lone kind of back as far as I can, not really get him anywhere where the fight would be. If he wants to chase it down with Valedictorian, I know he had let them bleed her at that point. Allison, Fiona, Nellie, and Stewie, I was all going to bunch up for take the hit. So looking at deployment, I know this is a little confusing because it's side by side. But if you look up here, I'm going to get a bigger arrow. If you look up here, we have the research assistant was kind of tucked in behind that building. We had the emissary, the valedictorian, and Albus kind of stacked on each other. The undergrads were there, and Anna was there. If you look over in mine, my printing press was over on this flank. You can't. My label's a little off. He's a little further, kind of over here. Just like similarly, the two newsies are over on this side. Lone Marshal was right here. So the newsies were kind of on the other side. There's a build. You can see the front of the building here. The newsies were over here, and they were going to come around. I thought really here would be where I'd make my stand using the tree and the building to keep from getting surrounded too much. And I could move Nellie and Fiona up there to do that. So my Nellie arrow is pointing at Dade as well. Nellie's actually right here. We got Stewie, and underneath the word Nellie is actually Fiona there. So what ended up happening, turn one, we saw one of the undergrads kind of pushed Valedictorian up, threatening a strike. He kind of went from Albus pushed her, and then he pushed, so he was already there, just waiting to come in on me. The emissary flies up to here, throws up some coffins to block that off, or one coffin and a zombie, more accurately. Anna's going to come around here, and then the undergrads ended up, you'll see in a moment. For me, I used Nellie to push Fiona up into this space, brought the newsies around the building, and pushed the lone up to here. So getting into the next turn, or getting into the end of 2, as I said. And unfortunately, I twisted the board, so it might be a little confusing. But you can see here, this is where the coffin marker was. You've got the emissary here, blocking that off. He used the emissary with Anna to repeatedly send up zombies and blow them up in my face. So we've got a corpse here already. The markers are starting to pile up around there, and that's going to matter later. I sent the printing press up the flank and tried to hide him. I don't know what I was honestly planning with him, but he ended up not being in too bad a spot. The lone marshal came up here, took a pot shot at Anna without a lot of success. When he finally charged valedictorian in, he charged valedictorian into right here next to my ski marker. You can see one of my face ski markers there. And then when he brought the undergrad in, took a couple more swings and then pulled back. I managed to mostly come out unscathed from that, but especially because I think the Stewie got to do his heal after the charge came in. But Nellie did take a couple points of damage from that. I did get valedictorian slow, but with Albus, that can really not be all that impactful. So, thinking about schemes next turn, my guess is at that time, I was sure he had assassinate. He had gone after Nellie first thing. I took the hit with some of the hits with Fiona, but the cost of doing that card-wise was going to end up being a problem with the volume of attacks that Albus can bring. I figured he probably had vendetta. I decided he didn't let them bleed because he didn't make any effort to go after the lone marshal. I didn't have anyone even close to him, so I didn't see that as a serious problem at that point. So I decided he probably had vendetta. Not the smartest. I thought he had it probably using valedictorian. Again, valedictorian couldn't take it on anyone, so it was not smart of me at the time, but that was mine. I don't know what guesses you all have for the schemes, but I'd love to hear them. Again, the schemes that they could think are take prisoners, sabotage, let them bleed, assassinate, and vendetta. All right, going into round 2, so at end of round 2, this is our board. So basically what happened, I think I don't remember if I had initiative or not, but basically we ended up with both undergrads and valedictorian right here. I think he may have gotten initiative and immediately charged into Nellie. He flew the emissary in, walked charge into Nellie. He read Joker that damage flip, so Nellie's at like 2 wounds right off the start. I squeal her over here, and then on her turn, walk her over and do some interacts to heal her up some, and use the steward to heal her up. You can see valedictorian charges in, starts bringing in the undergrads. Oh, you know what? That's not quite right. I don't think Dade was up there yet. I think Nellie actually ended up using a squeal to squeal out of that spot. I need a thinner pen for that. So she kind of squeals out to there so that she's not really in danger. He does 4 damage to the steward. I could have discarded and protected the steward with Fiona. I didn't want to move the steward over there. All right, so we've got John's guesses are assassinate and sabotage. So we've got, again, the steward's at 2 wounds. I've healed up Nellie pretty good at that point. Dade's unhurt and Fiona's not taking any significant damage. Before the one undergraduate, I want to say it was this undergraduate, before he activated, I got him down to 1 wound. Now that was important because he dropped his marker up here. And then he jumped away from it, leaving it alone. I charged the printing press into the emissary. Terrifying as a thing. Well, it didn't hit anything. The assistant moved up. You can't see it on here, but below the screen, kind of over here, is the lone marshal. You know what? I can do better than that. So lone marshal's kind of below all that, and he's shooting and stuff and waiting for a summon to happen, but there's not really much for him to do at that point. I think he does a little bit of damage. The newsies have walked over and started throwing newspapers at this one here. I think they get him down to about 2 wounds because or 3 wounds, which was great. And also gets some cards out of his hand, draws me some cards, puts a bunch of focus onto Nellie and and Allison Dade, which was really handy. He declares vendetta with that undergrad on the steward, so I know he has to die. That's all there is to it. So Anna, I don't remember why she stayed back so far. I think she may have taken a pot shot at the newsies and didn't have any success with it. I may have had the high card to cheat. But Albus starts moving up, but is got a ways to go. So again, declared vendetta. I got Nellie over half wound, so he couldn't get assassinate. I'm glad to hear that, Dice Labber. We're here providing what the people want. And honestly, I just got lucky that my opponent wanted to play Albus today. So we've got, he's declared the vendetta, undergrad on steward. I need to remember that they're so low points. I think of them as like 7 stone models, and I think they're only 5. But I can get that second one dead. I'm going to be in good shape. Now, Rob, that's a good way to get yourself banned. This Rezer propaganda is just dangerous. So going, I almost positive he has assassinated at that point. So for my schemes, I know I've got valedictorian here on with having taken 2 damage so far because he got healed a little bit by Albus. And then let them bleed. I'm thinking I need to get more damage on the emissary. I was wrong about that, but that was kind of, knew I was going to struggle at least with the first point of that. So going into the next turn. Yeah, John, you don't ever run it with, I don't think I've ever seen you run Jakuna, or I haven't since I was on my Perdita binge. So it's been a little while on that. So going into turn 3, I have kind of a closer up shot and then a really foggy outer shot, but the close up shot really tells the story. So I'm going to talk about it first. I was able to get initiative. Fiona goes in with 3 swings on the valedictorian. I've got the cards to make. I think I had to cheat a 13 to get initiative, but Fiona with her plus slips and with my hand is able to get 3 hits, and he doesn't stone any of them. So despite, and I keep forgetting that she ignores his hard to wound, which was probably a big deal. I'm just now realizing that I did that. Fiona's going in on that printing press, though, just swinging away, or on valedictorian, swinging away. Dice Labber, that's why you need good old guild content. You'll never get tired of it, I promise you. Outcasts and Residents, they'll just wear you down. You feel too bad about it. But guild, you just know you're doing something good for the community, and that's just something you can't buy. John, I don't think Montresor's a or I don't think Jakuna's a tar pit so much as a area denial piece. So I think you'll see a different. I think you'll see him differently playing him in that sense. Nellie's still there. Nellie got knocked down to half wounds by, of all things, the research assistants' shockwaves. They came in and caused me some havoc there, knocking her down to half wounds, giving away assassinate. I am able to kill both of the undergrads, one with a blast off of with Fiona using her sweeping strike, and the other one soon after with something. He managed to summon a undergrad off of the steward, but at a huge cost. I double severed for 8 damage on the demise, knocking Anna down to 1 wound. The emissary, I hit Val down to like 2 wounds. Nellie was able to, I think Nellie took out the second undergrad and valedictorian. Valedictorian was close to so many markers. I hit her for like a 5 damage, twisting their ideals, and then made her charge the emissary. I think Dice Laver, we got to get that one on the stream. Dice Laver says, I was valiantly providing jobs for the less than living. And John says, the breathing challenged. So the big scrum, again, we've got Dade over here. That's about to advance the screen. We've got Dade over here. We've got what I thought was a strat marker and was a corpse, that pumpkin there. That's going to matter later. I ended up picking up that one thinking it was a strat marker. And I didn't realize it until I was reviewing the game today. We've got over here, if you look at the bigger screen, the Newsies are still over there doing what Newsies do. When Anna got down to 1 wound, the Lone Marshal and the Newsies tried to take her out. Or I think one of the Newsies, because the other one had to take out the summoned undergrad. But they are just unable to do so, despite the fact that she's got distracted, she's got adversary, and she's down at 1 wound. He's stoning the damage each time, and with the reduction on her armor, she's able to stay alive into the next turn. I am able to farm some focus off of her, though, and get some cards out of her hand with the distracted as well. So I'm able to do some things. But you can see she's dropped her strat marker. There's also a scheme marker from being forced to interact. And the undergrads are gone. The Printing Press is still charging at the back of valedictorian. I forgot to make him lose a wound for ending within 2 of the Printing Press. I'll remember that next time. And then we go into and Albus has moved up into a more supportive spot. I don't know. I say that's Albus there. That's not Albus. That's definitely not Albus. That is Allison Dade. Albus is, I think, right here. I think that's that shiny spot. So no more guessing. We know what the strats are, or we know what the schemes are. I could have declared let them bleed. I had Anna and valedictorian down to less than half wounds, but I had it in my head that the emissary was one of my 2 targets for let them bleed. I did declare by vendetta, and I got a strat point, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. He's struggling to get his strat points. The only one I've dropped is well covered by my auras, and he's gonna have trouble getting them at this point. End of turn 4. What ends up happening is I think I spend a very severe for first turn again, and Fiona's able to take valedictorian down. At that point, rather than risk losing the emissary as well and drop the emissary's marker, he actually flies the emissary He disengages with the emissary over this way, and charges a newsie. He doesn't hit the newsie because of manipulative. Albus comes up and tries to kill Nellie, but I get some pretty good flips, and I'm able to keep her alive. So she runs and hides behind the lone marshal, and after picking up a second strap marker, the newsies are terrified by the emissary, can't hit her, but the lone marshal was able to finish off Anna before she could do any more zombie problems. So at that point, at the end of turn 4, what we end up doing at that point, this is the turn where I actually had Nellie pick up. There was that pumpkin marker that was like right here. I have Nellie pick that up, thinking it's a strap marker and get the strap point for it. So I probably should have got one less strap point, but I could have moved her up and gotten that other one. It just would have been that he may have had a better chance of getting that second point. I also have John's name still in here. That's not true. This is Len. And going into the final turn, my opponent requests to call it. I say, okay, that's fine. He didn't have 2 qualifying models left for me to declare let them bleed on, because he just had the emissary and the master and totem left. We call that game the game at that point. I'd get my let them bleed. I'd get my vendetta because he wasn't going to kill Fiona without a red joker, and he wasn't going to. He may have one-shotted a newsie and take it out, but he didn't want to see if that would happen or not. So we call it at that point. I got 1 for let them bleed, 2 for vendetta, and 3 for the strat. I should have declared that other let them bleed, so I'm putting the 2 there for the version of this that I call maybe if I wasn't stupid, that we could have gotten there. Len got none on the strat. He was able to get 1 for vendetta, 1 for assassinate, both getting models down to half wounds, but since I killed the undergrad, he couldn't get that second point for vendetta. So this is a 6-2 victory. My first win on the stream. The episode 0 practice episode was me getting slaughtered in a tie last time. So this is my first stream win, and I'll take it. It was Von Stil's a tough one, or Von Shtook's a tough one, and he really gives me still a lot of anxiety to play against. He's hard to deal with that initial alpha strike. So how'd I do? So I like what this list does against Von Shtook. The newsies, just if you can kind of keep them out of the main fight, because if they get swung on, they will die. They're going to generate you cards. They're going to generate you focus. They're going to do plink damage. I red jokered 2 damage hits with the newsies because they're generating their own focus as well. They are oftentimes going to be more valuable to you than that 4 points that they cost. The conditional removal was a big problem for me. Twice he took off my slow with Von Shtook, giving valedictorian fast in the same action and healing him, and that's just a lot. If he had come in on blast, it would have been a big problem. If he had brought the Student of Steel, I'm not sure that Fiona could have handled that. It would have been very tough for her to stay on her feet. Fiona with plus flips. I can't say enough about. I don't like where Fiona is right now. So she's a very good model, and I want Guild to have very good models. There's no question about that. But the more I play, the more she's feeling like Frank did last edition. And when I say that, what I mean is she feels like a auto take. You just can't consider not taking her because she's not going to She's going to survive. She's going to keep your models alive. She's going to get 2 to 3 hits depending on if you have the suit. And she's got bring it. So if you need her to do some scheming, or some scheme type stuff, she can do that too. She's just an incredibly tough, versatile package, and people aren't going to deal with her. If Anna had still been alive, it's a different game. I mean, it really is. Anna probably could have focused and focused in one shot the Newsies one at a time, which would have really cut down on my hand pressure. My cards were really good. I'm not sure what would have happened if I hadn't been able to make him miss a couple times. There are a couple times when I play a 12 or 13 as a defensive flip, and he just wasn't able to match that. I need to see Vendetta coming on undergrads. Just that one's. I need to look more carefully at how many points things are, so I know that kind of thing is coming and be ready for it. I sniffed the assassinate. I think that was not a hard guess. John, I think, guessed that as well. Congratulations, John. The rest, I wasn't ready for. I didn't really choose well. I think I knew where I wanted to be on the board, and the fight was there, and I liked that. But if he forced me out of being able to play in the spot I wanted to play in, I'm not sure how that would have gone for me. As I said, I got 2 red jokers on newsy damage flips. That pushes up their damage on their newspapers to a beautiful 3 damage. I know that's nothing, but it feels really good when it hits, when they're doing all that other stuff too. And all of a sudden you've taken a good chunk out of a model that's much scarier than themselves. There's something about the newsies that feels like no matter what they do, you're getting bonus work, which is a real interesting thing. I don't know if you all have used. I don't know if there are other models in other factions that feel like that, but at least with the newsies at 4 points, whatever work they do, just it feels like gravy, and I'll take that any time. So next week, something big I wanted to talk about. We are going to be starting a new segment on the stream. This is called the Salt of the Week. I said video on here, should say audio. Send me your short, salty audio to saltoftheweek@gmail.com. We will listen to the audio on stream. Honestly, as long as the video isn't inappropriate, I'll show it as a video if you prefer to do a video. But if you send me audio, I can do audio as well. Send me your audio or your video to saltoftheweek@gmail.com. We want to hear people right in the moment of their salt. So right after the game, after you've taken a bad loss, or right even mid-game when you are just feeling like I can't get anything done. That's where I want to hear from you. So send me those videos or audio recordings. I'd love to have them, and we'll play those so that people can see some salt that isn't my own every once in a while. Special thanks to my opponent, Len. He was a great sport in a game that was pretty frustrating at times. The proprietor of the gaming club, the Historic Haven. My episode 1 chat contributors: John, Rob, Eric, Turner, Alec, and anyone I missed. I'm not sure Alec was in it. I know he said he was going to show up for this one. I'm realizing I don't know that. I can't remember for sure whether he was in the last one or not. I think he was, and I do appreciate that. My incredibly patient wife, Leslie. As always, she's the love of my life, and I appreciate her letting me do this. If you want to talk more Malifaux with me or with other cool folks, there's a Swamp Fiends Discord. It's really good. It's fun. We have great conversations about Malifaux and things like that. Also get on the Guild Facebook chat. There are a lot of really good other Malifaux podcasts and stuff out there right now. Check out Third Floor Wars, The Other Coast, Swamp Fiends, Steam Powered Scoundrels, Rage Quit Wire, Schemes and Stones, or the Capital City Crew. Capital City Crew is still pretty new, but a lot of these other guys have put out a lot of good content for Malifaux already, and you should check it out. Spread the word. if you know someone that you think would enjoy getting in on the conversation here, let me know. Tell them about the stream. I'm not advertising outside of what I'm allowed to post on a weird place or the forums, so word of mouth is the best way to improve the stream to get the conversation going. I want to hear what you all think. Do you think I moved up too far with the model? Do you think I was too timid? Do you think I was spending my hand poorly, or that I was overvaluing a certain model? Let me know if you think that, or you think my list stinks. Those are the kind of things I want to hear from you. And if you know people that want to tell me that, tell them about the stream. Let's get them in here. We'll have a great time, and we'll be going again next week. Next week, 6:30. I will see you all again. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to hang out in the chat a little bit, but I'm going to be going off audio. And if you have any questions for me in the chat, I'll be typing in there. Thank you so much.